The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Evergreen Fire and Rescue, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 34859. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Starting just under the front bumper, you'll find two open-ended tow hooks on the passenger and driver's side frame rail. Moving now to the face of the bumper on the passenger side, you'll find a notched mechanical siren inset in the bumper. You'll also find dual air horns on the passenger and driver's side. Located directly in the center is your electronic siren and PA speaker. Moving now to the outer edge of the bumper extension, you'll find your lower warning lights. Moving to the bumper extension on the top, you'll find a tubbed storage location. D-handle will gain you access. Moving now up onto the cab, you'll find a marker light on the side, turn indicator, and then moving just inside of that location, you'll find the headlight structure housing a low and high beam headlight. The high beam will be located on the inside. Moving up from that location, you'll find your forward-facing emergency warning lights. And directly behind the Pierce logo is where you'll find the latch to release the hood. As we move from the front grille area to the outer edge, you'll find your mirrors housing a flat and convex mirror. Moving up to the brow, you'll find 5 clearance lights. Moving toward the center, you'll find a forward-facing floodlight. As we move up onto the roof of the apparatus, you'll find your emergency warning light bar. Located inside the light bar is where you'll find your opticom, directly in the center. Let's move around now to the driver's space. Affixed to the door panel, you'll find all of our safety and warning information. As we move up from this location, you'll find your latch for door access. In that latch, you'll find a locking mechanism. Moving just up from that location, you'll find your window controls. And as we move down to the lower section near the seat, you'll find when plugged into shore power, your battery charging system will be activated. Moving to the left, about the left knee of the operator, you'll find all of your maintenance plug-in locations, and directly above that, you'll find your master battery switch. As we move down into the stepwell, you'll find your air inlet, and then moving just to the right, you'll find the plug-in location for your shore power inlet. This is a 20 amp plug. As we move just up to the very top, you'll find your battery volt indicator. Once again, when plugged into shore power, this will be active. I'd like to direct your attention to the very top section, to the yellow placard. This is the manufactured from Pierce for your department, Evergreen Fire and Rescue. This plaque has the date of manufacture, September of 2020, the 5-digit job number, gross vehicle weight rating, cold tire inflation, the VIN number, and all of the fluid capacities for each component and fluid component capacity type. As we move down to, once again, about the left knee of the operator, you'll find your diagnostic information for your maintenance shop. You'll also find DPF region information at the lower switches. Moving now to the upper section, you'll find your battery switch. This is the master battery switch, right to turn on and left to turn off. As we move to the dash area, you'll find on the left your 4-way flashers, start switch, and also ignition switch. Just inside of that location, you'll find a switch labeled EM, which stands for Emergency Master. This will engage or disengage all emergency lights. You'll also find your headlight switch and panel switch, which allow you to brighten or dim the lights within preview of the operator. Transmission oil, DEF, and water temp will be the gauges on your left. On the right, you'll find front and rear air, fuel level, and volts. Speedometer and tachometer located in the center. Diagnostic information displays above and also below the speedometer. Let's move down to the lower right-hand side of the steering columns, where you'll find your OK to engage the high idle indicator and also the switch. Let's take a look just to the right here. We'll talk a little bit about some of the items. First, starting on the left, this is the yellow pull to apply your system parking brake and push to release. Moving just to the right, you'll find the Pierce Command Zone, a tremendous amount of information right here at your fingertips. Please see your owner's manual for more information. You'll also find your Allison transmission pad with an informational note to pump in neutral, and then also a set of memory switches, and then also toggle switches just beneath that. We'll go over those in just a moment. As we move to the right-hand side in the upper corner, you'll find your mirror controls for the left and right mirror. And then as we move down, we'll find pump and foam information switches just in the lower section, and we'll go over those in just a moment too. Let's move up to the very top where you'll find your climate control, heat and air conditioning, and defrost. Let's go back to the Pierce command zone. It is a touch screen. If you do have a gloved hand, you can use the lower section also for activating those indicator switches. Let's move back to the right where you'll find your pump in neutral Allison transmission pad. It is a digital push button pad. As we move to the right, you'll find those memory switches. At the top, we've got a load manager, 2 future switches at the upper location, your tire chains, siren brake, 2 future switch locations, and electronic siren. As we move down, you'll find the engine brake on and off, and also a settings for that engine brake for medium, high, or low, and then also the mirror heat. As we move to the right, you'll find your stationary OK to pump and roll. That is an indicator. You'll also find the water pump switch and the foam system switch. Let's move back up to the top in the very center where you'll find the climate control. You can see in the left area, the gray is the heat and defrost. Red will be your heat, and blue will be the air conditioning. As we move up to the top over the driver's head, you'll find 10 feet 5 inches for a height, length 32 feet 5.5 inches, and a gross vehicle weight rating 49,000 pounds. If you make any adjustments to your vehicle, please update this placard. We'll start now on the right-hand side here to the next set of switch panels, first starting with the emergency master, roof light, front warning, and side warning lights. As we move down on the memory switches, you'll find the lower rear warning, upper rear warning, high beam flash, and your opticom. Moving just to the right to the next set of switches, you'll find your driver's side cab scene, front flood, passenger side cab scene, and rear scene. Down in the next section, you'll find driver's side flood and passenger side flood. The switches, when activated, will illuminate green around the outer edges. As we move just to the right in the same preview, you'll find your pump pressure, which is a digital readout, water tank level indicator, and foam tank level indicator. You'll find your traffic advisor. As we move to the area next to the seat is where you'll find a shore power plug-in. There are 2 electrical receptacles in this location. Let's move now exterior to the section just behind the driver's area. This compartment does have an adjustable shelf. As we move to the very rear cab area, you'll find a red grab handle for getting access in and out of the cab, and also affixed to the door panel you'll find all of our safety and warning information, along with window control, door latch, and a handle. Let's take a look inside the compartment spaces here. First, roll-up compartment door, once again access from inside or exterior. As we move to the rear, you'll find 3 seats across the rear cab wall. Located at the floor level is where you'll find your access panel to gain access to the rear section of the engine for your daily checks for oil and transmission. As we move to the rear section mid-area, you're going to find a lift and turn latch will gain you access into the upper compartment for backboard storage. You'll also find your crosslays. This is where your hose storage is located. We do have a warning regarding entanglement hazard. You'll find the number 1 and number 2 crosslays located in this area. You'll also find a latch in between the section. Lift the latch, which will allow you to remove the speed lay to the ground level for loading of that hose. Let's move down to the lower section, which is the notch area, which will have the 2 2.5-inch discharges. You'll also find there are 2 gauges for those discharges. As we move just above, you'll find a warning label here regarding pressure hazard. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. As we move to the right, the Pierce logo American flag eagle. That is your large diameter pump intake. As we move to the upper corner, you will find a warning here regarding fall hazard. When climbing on the apparatus, make sure you face it and do not ride on the apparatus while it's in motion. Moving to the right, you'll find your foam draft lever, and then also a warning label here regarding foam failure. Do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. Down at the lower section is your attachment hose point for your hose pickup for foam. Down the lower section, you'll find all of your color-coded and labeled discharge drains. And as we move to the right, you'll find the 2.5-inch female auxiliary inlet. Let's take a look at the pump panel area, just a quick view here. We'll start in the upper corner. First, starting with the light indicating that your pump is okay to pump and it is properly engaged, the light will illuminate. As we move to the left, you'll find your minimum operation maintenance schedule. This is for testing purposes. On the left-hand side, you'll find the minimum GPM. Located in the center, you'll find the test pressures for 150, 200, and 250 psi. And on the right, you'll find the associated RPM. You'll also find a warning label that only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment and only after they received proper training. Moving just to the right in the green module is your foam A-tank level indicator. As we move to the gray area, this is your master intake and master discharge gauge. In between the two of those, we'll find the test gauge ports for vacuum and pressure. They are currently plugged and are for testing purposes. As we move up to the upper right-hand corner, you'll find the label PCM fault. There is an audible alarm and also a visual indicator indicating PCM fault. Let's move downward on the pump panel area. We'll talk a little bit about some of the discharges. On the left-hand side, you'll find the front number 1 and number 2 crosslay. These are both foam capable, indicated by the red label. As we move to the right, you'll find the instructions for your foam system and also the specifications for your Husky 3 foam system. To the right, you'll find your fire pump primer. Moving just to the right, you'll find your pressure throttle governor. If illuminated, it would be yellow in color, is a check engine light. In the center, you'll find a digital readout for the RPM. And moving to the right, if illuminated, it would be red in color, is a stop engine light. As we move down, you'll find engine diagnostic information. All the way to the right, you'll find your pump temperature. And then moving down, you'll find a water tank level indicator. Moving to the upper right, you'll find a red silence button, allowing you to silence any audible alarms associated with the pressure throttle governor. As we move down, there is a menu button, which is orange in color, allows you to scroll through the various menu functions. There are 2 control modes which you can opt to pick, either pressure mode or throttle mode. The blue control mode button allows you to select those. Moving to the right, you'll find a throttle ready indicator, indicating that you're able to indicate and use the throttle. Moving to the right, you'll find a green preset button, which allows you to preset any throttle positions or pump pressure positions. As we move down, you'll find the throttle right to increase and left to decrease. In the very center, you'll find an idle button. Push in the center to move the vehicle to the idle position. Let's move down on the pump panel. On the left-hand side, you'll find your tank fill and recirculating line. Right next to it is the tank to pump. This vehicle does have 2 electric valves in your pump area, which are controlled on the passenger side of the vehicle. It is the number 2 passenger side discharge and also the large diameter passenger side discharge. As we move to the red module, this is your Husky 3 foam system. The green button allows you to activate on and off. As we move down, you'll find a digital readout for the foam percentages, and the gray buttons allow you to increase or decrease those percentages of foam. To the right, you'll find a prime button. If you look to number 4 on the operating instructions on the placard on the red Husky system, you'll find the information regarding the status lights. As we move to the very top, you do have 1 through 4 operating instructions. It's a very simplistic system, works very well. As we move to the right, you'll find the passenger rear discharge and then also the deluge discharge. Located down at the very bottom, you'll find a port for your Firecom headset system. Let's move from this location downward, where we'll find all of our discharge drains. First, starting in the upper left, is your primer drain. It is a twist, not a pull. As we move down, we'll find all of our discharge drains color-coded and labeled. Let's move now inside the pan door area. First, start with the red protected switch. This is your emergency pump shift. And then also you'll find on the door panel itself, there are instructions here for foam fill operations and also operations. The yellow handle matches the information on the door panel. You'll also find information on your lights on the left-hand side of the door panel. And then as we move inside the compartment, you'll find your battery charger. When plugged into shore power, that will be activated. We're now over the compartment directly over the rear axle. D-handle gains access to the front and rear of that toolboard. As we move downward, we'll find SCBA bottle storage locations, an emergency light, and then also a single bottle storage locations, all with retaining straps for safety. As we move to the fuel door, you'll find in the lower section the silver cap is your ultra low sulfur diesel. As we move that flap downward, we'll expose a blue DEF cap, which is a 4.5 US gallon DEF tank. Let's move now through some of the compartments. As we move, we'll find LED lighting in the compartments and also adjustable shelving. As we move around to the rear of the apparatus, you'll find your brake, turn, and reverse lights on the outer edges, both passenger and driver side. You'll also find lower emergency warning lights. As we move up to the very top section here, you'll find a rear-facing scene light. And then as we move just above that scene light, you'll find a rear-facing emergency warning light. Let's take a look at the other side of the rear section where you'll find a pull-out and drop-down ladder. We do have warning labels here regarding pinch hazard. Be cautious when operating. You'll also find a hose bed light switch on the lower left-hand side of this image. As we move to the very bottom section in the roll-up compartment door, adjustable shelving, and then at the very bottom a pull-out style tray that releases in the lower right. Just above the door, you'll find the backup camera, and at the very top section, you'll find a few warning labels here regarding riding on the apparatus and also climbing on the apparatus. At the very top section, you'll find an entanglement hazard because of those lines coming from aloft, and then also a warning label here regarding pressure hazard. Caps may be under pressure. As we move to the compartments in the open position, you'll find in the upper left-hand corner, this is for your hose storage location for your suction hoses. You'll find a 10-foot folding ladder and also location for long tool storage, 24-foot extension, and a 14-foot roof ladder. As we move now to the lower section, you'll find the compartment with the door in the open position and the tray in the outward position. As we move up to the top, there are additional doors located at the very top section, and then also, once again, a 2.5-inch rear discharge. Let's take a look now at some of the compartments around the side. We'll first start on the passenger side rear compartment. This compartment does have a tool board and also a pull-out tray located. It is adjustable. As we move to the center compartment, you'll find a pull-out tilt-down shelf. The two black releases are the levers which will allow you to release and tilt down the tray. You'll also find SCBA and oxygen bottle storage. This is the tray in its open and outward position. As we move now to the forward position, you'll find two adjustable shelves, the lower section, and also a adjustable tray. I would like to point out at the point here of this warning label, extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures. Please be cautious where you park your vehicle. This is the same mirrored image as the opposite side. As we move around to the notch, you'll find your large diameter pump intake on the passenger side. It is the Pierce American Flag Eagle cap. As we move to the right, once again, a warning regarding pressure hazard. These are the two electric valves controlled from the driver's side pump panel. It does have an override. You can see it located right next to the valve. You'll also find in the lower section large diameter pump discharge and also an override. At the very bottom, you'll find all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains. Let's move from this location inside. This is the location for your daily checks for oil and transmission. And then as we move to the exterior, you'll find exterior access and also interior access directly behind the officer seat. As we move to the officer's location, you'll find affixed to the door panel all of our safety and warning information. You'll also find this vehicle is equipped with an airbag SRS supplemental restraint system. Do not mount any equipment within this area. You'll also find a mechanical siren push button in the upper left-hand corner directly behind the seat when plugged into shore power. These two outlets will also be active. As we move overhead, just a general view, push on and off white or red lens lights, and then also a switch panel. This one housing first your siren control and PA speaker system. As we move to the left, you'll find your AM/FM weather band CD radio. And as we move further to the left, you'll find switch panels for all of your cab scene lights, front flood, and also driver and passenger side floods. As we move to the top of the vehicle, we do have yellow diamonds indicating the walking surface for firefighter safety. As we move to the front, you'll find the hydraulic reservoir for your Husky 3 foam system, and then moving to the right, you'll find your master stream discharge. Let's take a look at the area in the top where you'll find on the outer edges the two sections on the passenger and driver side, your hatch compartments. There's also LED lighting and dry deck material inside. As we move to the very rear section of the hose bed, you'll find two hose bed dividers.
You'll also find in the dunnage area, which we'll talk about next, your Husky foam system reservoir. This is the fill location on the left for your Husky foam system oil. As we move down, you'll find the foam tank fill for Class A foam, also warning information, do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam, and also top fill for your water tank. As we move to the cab, you'll also find these two warning labels. This is a non-walking surface. That's why we have these warning labels affixed here. Congratulations, Evergreen Fire and Rescue, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 34859. If you have any questions, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.